situation where you find that a person look at the same.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
Welcome back. It's still Daybreak on Trust TV. Right now it's time for us to take a look at the front pages of the newspapers. And we'll start with the Daily Trust newspaper. Naira crisis, FG states consider out-of-court settlement is the major headline on the front page of the Daily Trust with the president's speech this morning. We don't know how that is going to go. Mint requires 12 months to print 1 trillion naira needed to stabilize the economy. That's according to El Rufai, and 4 killed as Edo protesters as protests rock states. Buhari meets Tinubu at Aso Rock. And of course, the pictorial there is of various locations where some unrest was actually recorded due to the Naira redesign policy. And a headline here saying the old Naira notes remain legal tender. That's according to the Supreme Court, but the president has said something quite different. Sanusi visits Kano 3 years after dethronement is a story that can be found on page 5 of Daily Trust. And mechanic providing logistics to bandits arrested in Abuja. That is on page 17. And towards the top of the front page there, Naira slides a parallel market, strengthens at official window, and that's on page 19. And no Northerner should be stopped from becoming president. That is according to the Northern Elders Forum. Details can be found on page 10. And of course, how Jai's Taj Banks raised service bar amid Naira scarcity is another story that can be found on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of Daily Trust.
We'll move on now to the Nation newspaper, and similar stories there around events around the country yesterday where 4 were killed over the scarcity violence. But the major story there stays with the Naira out-of-court settlement talks on Naira crisis collapse. FG, governors disagree on CBN claims that old notes have been burnt. That's a difficult one. And Buhari to address Nation today, of course, which has already been taken. Punish PDP for reneging on power shift, says APC chair. And Wike Tinubu turned down PDP's offer to sabotage Buhari in 2019 elections, says APC candidate is the man Nigeria needs now, says Rivers governor. Inflation rises to 21.82%, according to the MBS and APC PCC kicks as police invite Fani Kayode. These are the major stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
All right, so looking at the front pages, we look at the Daily Independent, and of course, keeping what we have seen so far, 3 feared dead as protests rock Edo, Delta, Oyo, and Ondo. That is according as relates to the Naira scarcity. And protesters destroy banks, ATM facilities, cause gridlock. Okowa Abdurazak Makinde Obaseki call for calm, and Sanwo-Olu warns against rejection of old Naira notes. Court orders Evans to refund 233,000 euro ransom taken from kidnapped victim, and Edo accuses Ashomole of instigating Benin riot, wants him arrested. Amechi absent as Tinubu storms Rivers for presidential rally, and scores of anti-corruption CSOs join Bawa Moscow protest. And of course, towards the top of the front page there, Northern Elders Forum to announce presidential choice in days. And in keeping what we have just seen, inflation rises to 21.82% in January as food prices soar. Talking about the Naira redesign, Supreme Court joins Katsina, Lagos, Cross River, others in suit against FG, and it runs to February 22, while Elsa Edo join as respondents. JAM extends UTMA registration to February 22, registers 1.5 million. And these are the major stories on the front page of the Daily Independent.
Moving on to the Punch newspaper and staying with stories that are different from the ones we have brought to you this morning. Of course, you'll find pictures of the banks that were attacked yesterday in Benin, Warri, Akure, and of course, several centers there in Warri. Moving on to the stories, private sector blames fuel scarcity as inflation hits 21.8%. And marketers ignore FG, sell petrol at over 230 naira per litre. And to other stories, soldiers avenging colleagues' deaths by killer cop, Born Station. And Wike, 4 others not relevant outside PDP. This is according to the Presidential Campaign Council's spokesperson. And there you also have the story Amechi absent as Tinubu at Tinubu's Rivers rally. These are the major stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Well, taking a look at the front page of the first newspaper, it's keeping with everything that we've actually seen so far. And the only other thing that's quite different is Naira scarcity. Anarchy looms. CBN policy will ruin Buhari's government. That is according to Autumn. And all the other stories are actually in keeping with the Naira redesign policy, which we have seen and touched on other papers this morning. That is what we have on the front page of the first newspaper.
Again, that's the much we can bring you from the newspaper review this morning. We still have in the studio with us the editor-in-chief, Deadline newspaper, Marlon Nasrul Lawal, who before now has taken an extensive dive into the president's emergency address this morning, clearly responding to what most of the papers have on their front pages this morning. But moving on to other issues now. We are seeing here, according to the Punch, that marketers ignore FG, sell petrol at 230. It appears that we can't find solution to this petroleum scarcity, or where it is available overpriced, as the case may be in Nigeria. I would like your thoughts on that.
Well, not to speak like someone who is in support of all the things that the marketers are saying. I think what baffles me, is the fact that the president is actually the minister of petroleum. And in most parts of Nigeria right now, we have spent air, experiencing this oil scarcity. So anytime the authorities come out to say, this is what we are doing, you find out that the reality on the ground contradicts, whatever thing that they are coming to tell Nigerians. And the marketers are businessmen. They are not in it for charity. They are in this business to make profit. And from what they are explaining, and it has not been countered by whether it's the NNPC or other relevant institutions, nobody has countered them. They keep telling us that if you combine, total the sum that they spend in getting this fuel from the depots to the point of sale, the money that they spend, it will not be possible for them to sell it below 230 naira. And if that's all they will do, I think it's even good, because in most places it's selling for 350, 400 and what have you. So we are talking about something that shouldn't even be what we are concentrating all our energy on. We should worry about those that are selling well beyond 230 naira. And you can see, as far as Nigerians are concerned, make this fuel available first before you tell us, whatever you intend to charge us. Because right now, the fuel is hardly, ever available. Like in Abuja, the queues will disappear today, and then tomorrow they return. So you don't know, and it's because of all this, back and forth, the dilly-dallying, by the relevant authorities as far as the issue of petroleum products are concerned.
All right, well, question so on the issue of dilly-dallying, let's go political now. We had a raft of endorsements a while back, groups coming up to endorse one candidate or the other, individuals making proclamations and all that. But most of us, most especially in this part of the country, have waited with bated breath for the Northern Elders Forum to actually come out and say, okay, this is the person that we feel has our best interest at heart, and this is the person that we're backing in this particular race. And we just heard that they said they will make that pronouncement in a few days. Coming this close to the elections, will it really carry that much weight?
Well, sometimes it is not over until it is actually over. And if you look at what the Northern Elders Forum are saying, that no Northerner should be stopped. Nobody is stopping any Northerner. Nigerians are the ones to decide. Those who have the eligible voters are the ones to decide who who will be the next president. It doesn't matter what the Northern Elders Forum is saying. Of course, as individuals or as a group, you can find a way of supporting whoever you want to support. But you should do that in accordance with the law. You don't need to threaten anybody. You don't need to intimidate anyone. Allow people to make their choice based on what they believe in. And there are so many Northerners, as far as I know, in the race. Like we have 18 candidates. Even though I heard from some quarters that only 15 were accredited. I said, okay, what happened to the other three? So Nigerians should be allowed to decide who should be the president come 2019. And nobody should intimidate them. Nobody should try to blackmail them. Nobody should try to tell them the path to follow.
Interesting conversation. As a person, this is with a caveat. This is not Trust TV's position. I find it amusing that we talk about the future, and the people who are always at the forefront of talking about the future are those at the departure lounge. I don't know when the natural hours of this world will take over that conversation, but we will continue to watch the space. Very interesting development yesterday. Lamido Sanusi or Emir Sanusi II. I don't know which one is correct. I don't want to use the word dethrone now, so that I don't have to answer for that big job. I made what looks like a majestic entry into Kano 3 years after his dethronement. What do you make of what's the significance of this re-entry, especially as we approach an election? And from the pulse of the people, does it feel like people still have a sense of him as an emir in the diaspora? Sort of what can you tell us about that entry into Kano yesterday?
Well, it's actually normal, for somebody who has been an emir for quite some time, to maintain a support base, whether he's even dead or alive. It's normal with people. And the line of thought or the line of argument that some people were saying he was actually only in Kano to see his mom, I said, no, I don't think he must have spent 3 years without, seeing his mom. Probably he has met her outside Kano, but this is like, because he has friends, he has, people that are around her who will want to see her son, paying her a visit and things like that. And then some people are now trying to bring politics into it. They are saying that among the gubernatorial candidates, there are some who have made it clear that they may be reviewing the issue of the dethronement of the emir. So probably, there is 1 or 2 points in that, but I don't see that as anything, because even if we don't like what the government did, at least they succeeded in getting the buy-in of the State House of Assembly, coming out to even appoint new emirs, and the Constitution of Nigeria gives them that power. So of course, whoever becomes the governor after Ganduje has also the chance to review whatever he thinks. But if you come out to say that, believe me, you will be setting yourself against, the interest of all these new emirates. Because those who have now become kings, they become emirs because of what they will try as much as they can to retain the position that they now occupy. So if you come out to say that you will be reviewing their appointments, then if they start working against you, you have nobody to blame but yourself.
But some people would say there had been a precedence before with late Governor Rimi with regards to these other 5 emirates. Would they not be towing a path that has been towed before?
Well, like people keep saying, the world itself, its history keeps repeating itself. There is hardly anything that will happen today that something like that, hadn't happened in the past.
All right, well, moving slightly away from that, there's a disturbing headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper about soldiers avenging the killing of one of their own by a police officer, burning down a police station. Now, These are supposed to be security agencies or personnel that are supposed to be working in tandem. And if they're seen to be taking the laws into their hands, then what about the ordinary people?
Well, this is actually the problem of people taking the laws into their hands. And these are law enforcement agents rather. And you can see this is the problem we have with people not respecting the law, not respecting decisions by the court of law, because things like this will continue to happen. Soldiers, police, they will disagree, they will even fight, but rather than take the laws into your hands, why don't you seek redress from the relevant institutions? Because if you fail to do that, then whoever thinks he has advantage over the other will now want to...
Is this an issue of discipline now?
Yeah, it has to do with discipline, and we should worry, because these are people that are by law allowed to carry weapons. And if we cannot trust your sense of judgment, then we shouldn't. Maybe we should also start thinking of withdrawing, the arms that we are giving you. But this is something that they said the police, started it by stabbing a soldier and then the soldiers now retaliated, and set a police station ablaze. But do we need to go through all that? We have all the relevant institutions where you can seek redress. And when you fail to do that, then the absence or the only alternative is anarchy, and nobody wants to be faced with that, because whether we like it or not, the system is okay as it is. We are allowed, we have the opportunity to pursue our dreams and what have you. But in the era of anarchy, nobody will be able to realize anything. Probably wouldn't even be here discussing Nigerian politics.
Talking about politics, yesterday Asiwaju was in Port Harcourt, and some interesting things there. And some of the papers are, curiously, with all the numbers that were available, we were able to notice that Amechi was not in that party. But besides the rally, he made a call at the governor, who in his own speech said he was the right man. I wonder where these boards with regards to the APC governorship candidates in Rivers State, because on the one hand, if the governor is endorsing, you expect that you also endorse this candidate for the next election. How would you describe the Rivers politics, first with his own party, and now what appears to be a bromance with the APC candidates in the face of their own party candidates in the same election? What did you make of the scene yesterday?
Actually, when I saw Wike, speaking yesterday, the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, all those who have been waiting for Wike's endorsement, I think there you go. Because what he said is basically, endorsement, that he wants Nigerians to vote for the candidate of the APC. But some people will be confused because, Nigerians are not, some of our voters are not that sophisticated to be able to separate, vote for one party in the presidential election and then switch to another when it comes to governorship election. But so many people have said it actually, that even right from the beginning, that forget about all those who have shown interest, who actually ended up contesting for the ticket of the APC, that Asiwaju, right from the beginning, the only person he identified as a threat was Rotimi Amechi. And he started working to see how he will neutralize that. Probably that was how he was able to reach out to Wike, as things are now coming out to show. And you can see the fact that Amechi did not go there, should show you that as far as Asiwaju's ambition is concerned, maybe there is no commitment, any commitment coming from his side. But Wike should also think of the implication of what he is doing, because you are in politics voluntarily. Nobody is forcing you to do anything. Rather than remain in the PDP and work against the party, I think it's better you just quit, so that nobody will be calling you to account, because as an individual, you have a right to hold political opinions, but you shouldn't do that under the platform of the PDP, you know, and then working for the opposition as far as Rivers politics is concerned.
Well, so looking at the situation as it is right now, if perchance now the PDP eventually wins the presidential election, then what happens to Wike politically?
Well, if that should happen, certainly Wike's days in politics may be numbered. I don't know. It depends on who, what the winner, eventual winner, you know, will decide to do with it. Because, you know, sometimes politicians, they like bringing on board people that have, you know, like challenged them, so that Nigerians will now see probably it was all politics. Now that he has been settled, he has, you know, taken a different course. So, but he should worry, like I said earlier, this is politics, you know, and it's a gamble. You know, you take a risk. It's not necessary that whoever you support will end up winning the election. So you should also prepare, you know, to live a life under something that can go against what you expect. So if it happens that way, then certainly maybe he will also find a way of jetting out of the country to study, you know, in one of these foreign universities, because that's what our politicians do. Once you fall out of favor, you know, with the administration that is in charge, you just withdraw from the scene. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that's like going on exile. But they wouldn't want to call it exile.
Some will call it a tactical withdrawal,
which is very good in politics, so that you don't end up disgracing yourself.
All right. Well, that's a very nice note too. And the newspaper review right currently at the moment. And well, thank you very much, Nasir Lawal, for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, that's how we'll wrap it up on the newspaper review. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the program continues. To stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that they must look at the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
I have said that.